I'm Rochelle Pimentel, and my pronouns are she, her.
Okay, perfect. So we'll be starting the question portion, and I'll be asking them. If you have any questions for us at the end of the questions, then you may ask us as well. So for the first question, KP can be a cis-normative space at times. How will you make the KP space more inclusive to trans and non-binary folk?
I think one of the events that I really wanted to implement is a trans visibility event. I feel like that would just really help foster a safe space, especially for trans individuals, and just allow them to feel safe in the space. I think that it is very dominated by men in this space, and I feel like it's just very important to just bring more awareness to the minorities in our space.
So besides PAW and PAD and political workshops, are there any new events that you're interested in programming or hosting?
As I was saying, the trans visibility event, I also really wanted to collaborate a lot with other pillars. I feel like the cultural pillar really aligns a lot with the political one, and I think it's really important to let me think. I think it's really important to just cross especially because I think indigenous cultures especially have prior to colonization, I think that there's a lot of homosexuality and transgender individuals, and especially after colonization, I think that it's really important to just bring more awareness to how they were prior, and I just really want to have an event that brings light into indigenous communities and just indigenous cultures and how they have changed a lot over time due to colonization.
Your next question is, what is your understanding of intersectionality, and how do you think it applies to your position?
I think intersectionality applies to my position because as a person of color and as someone who is in the LGBTQ community, I think that those two different minority identities intersect, and that causes more discrimination against the individual, because I feel like just having intersecting identities just causes more intersectionality is different identities crossing, and I think that it's important to just since my role is gender and sexuality, I think since we are a SAC org, I think it's important to just bring more awareness to how having these specific identities especially as a minority, just causes more discrimination, and should, I think, just bring more inclusivity by bringing more awareness towards it.
What political issues or issues of justice do you really care about? How will you work to educate the community about deconstructing these issues?
Well, LGBTQ is still not legal, and being in the LGBTQ community is still not legal in the Philippines. And I think that as someone who's Filipino in America, I feel like I hold a lot of privilege in that, and that it's really important that I just bring more awareness to these ongoing issues, and just bring more be a voice for those who don't have one, especially in the Philippines. And I think that because gay marriage is legal here, I think that people think that there's still not a lot of issues here. And I think that it's really important to just vocalize on those issues and just bring more awareness, especially to historical things like I was talking about with the indigenous communities, I think that it's really important to just bring light onto those, because I feel like, I mean, like, as someone who is a part of the LGBTQ community, I think that I haven't always grown up feeling as safe, because I think that, like, after colonization, there has been a lot of, like, homophobic legislation, and I think due to that, like, in the Filipino community, it's very common for them to have very homophobic, like, ideals, and I think I really just want to help create a safer space for those who don't feel like they are safe in their identity.
As part of the position, you have to communicate with the Women's Center and the LGBT Resource Center. How familiar are you with these resource centers, and how do you plan to present their programs as resources for the members of KP?
Well, I think especially after, like, the GBMs and events that I hold, I think it's definitely important to bring light onto those different resource centers, and I think I really want to, like, add links and add resources and just make sure that those are out there and make sure that people are aware that they exist.
So you've completed the 5 required questions. Would you like to answer 2 more?
Okay.
Perfect. So what does it mean for KP to be a SAC organization, and how will you rebuild the connections we have with the other SAC organizations?
Well, I think that as a SAC organization, we have a voice for the Filipino community specifically, and I think that we just have to, like, bring more awareness to the minorities on our campus, and I think that especially seeing how UCSD has, like, recently handled current issues, I think that that's especially where SAC organizations are the most important, because they bring more awareness to these issues, and I also want to collaborate a lot more with the other organizations, I feel, to bring more awareness to them, especially with the ongoing Palestinian conflict. I think that it would be a great idea to be able to collaborate with SJP to help bring more awareness to them.
And your next and last question is, within your position, you are a part of a pillar consisting of both the community activism advocate and the social awareness coordinator. How will you collaborate and communicate with your pillar in order to build an inclusive and equitable space within KP?
Well, I think that since my, like, specific role is tied to activism and just, like, LGBTQ issues and gender issues, I think it's very important to be able to, like, have an understanding between every single one of the positions and just, like, work together to be able to, I don't know, I feel like I can learn a lot from the other pillars, not the other pillars, the other positions, and I feel like that will just grow my understanding of how gender and sexuality issues align with politics, and yeah, with just the other knowledge of them, of these other roles, I feel like that will really help me grow my own.
Okay, perfect. So we've reached the end of your interview. Do you have any questions that you want to ask us before we let you go?
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect. So you're done. Congratulations.